Hey boys and girls, this is Mr. Tom. Hey, do you remember last week when we read about how God created everything that there is? The sun and the moon and the stars and the earth and the animals and the people and the birds and the fish, how God created everything. Well, here's a picture, a big picture here of what it could have looked like in the beginning, where God created the flowers and the butterflies and the parrot and the plants. There's a zebra, and God created everything. It was beautiful. There's a lion back there, and God created everything, and it was so beautiful. Well, God created a man and a woman as well. And here's a picture of what it might have looked like. Here's Adam and Eve, that's their names, and God put them in the garden with all the animals and the plants, and it was a beautiful garden there. Well, we're going to read about that today in our Bible story about Adam and Eve. So for 6 days, God was busy creating everything. He made the whole earth and everything in it. Each of his creations, they were amazing. But on the 6th day, God made his most incredible and special creation. Well, what was it? He made the first man using nothing but the dust of the earth. God formed the man out of the dust of the earth, out of dirt. And then God, after he had done that, he breathed into the man's nostrils, into his nose, the breath of life. Yeah, the breath of life. Can you breathe in? Do this, go. That's the breath of life, and God put that into the man that he made, and he became a living being, a living person. He put the breath of life in him, and the man was very special in God's eyes. It was his most special creation that God had made. God made man in his own image, and what that means is that man could think, and that man could make choices and talk and enjoy beautiful things, and could love and care about things just like God does. God made man in his image. And then God planted the most beautiful garden on the earth, and it had every beautiful tree in it, and it had every tree that was good for fruit in it and good to eat. And he called this most beautiful garden, he called it Eden. And then in the middle of the garden, he planted the tree of life, and this tree, if a person ate of this fruit over and over again, they would live forever. It was called the tree of life. But then there was another tree. It was called the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and you could say that this was the tree of death. And God put his most special creation in this most beautiful garden that he had created. And God told the man, you may eat of every tree in the garden except this one. Don't eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, because the day that you eat of it, if you eat of it, you will surely die. So you could say that that was the tree of death, and you don't want to eat that tree. And God loved the man so much that he named him Adam. Then God had all the animals and all the birds to come to Adam. And God said, Adam, just as I named you, I want you to name all the birds and all the animals. And so God brought all the animals and birds that he had created to Adam for Adam to name, to give them a name. And so Adam named them all, and he said, I think I will call this one a butterfly. And that one, I think I will call him an elephant. And this one over here, I will call him an eagle. And so Adam named all the animals that God brought to him. But then after naming all the animals, Adam looked around and he was so lonely. There wasn't anybody like him. that God had created, anybody that he could talk to and be friends with. So he was lonely and he was sad. There was no creation that God had made like him. And so God said, "It is not good for man to be alone, to be by himself. I will make a helper who is just right for him." So God did something very special for Adam. God made his last and most special creation after Adam. And what do you think that was? What could God create that was even more special than Adam? I wonder what it could be. Well, let's read some more. God caused Adam to fall into a deep sleep. While Adam was sleeping, God did something. God took a rib from his side. So he took a rib out of his side and he closed it back up with flesh, so it was all covered up. And then he created another whole human being out of the rib. It was a rib that became a woman. And God made a woman to be with Adam. And she was not like another man, but she was opposite of the man in many ways. So God had created a man and he created a woman. God had created male and he had created female. He named this woman Eve. And God brought the woman to the man and brought it to Adam. And Adam looked at her and said, "Wow! At last, this creation is bone of my bone. She's like me. This is flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman." And then God did something very special. He created marriage. And it says, "Therefore, a man shall leave his father and mother and take hold of his wife, and they shall become one." And God said to Adam and Eve, "Have babies and fill the whole earth with people." And God trusted them to watch over the earth and to take good care of it. So let me show you an illustration using our hands that could help us understand what the creation of Adam and Eve were like. So just pretend, when you put your hands together like this, pretend that this is Adam, that God created Adam. And then Adam was so lonely, and so God made Adam go into a deep sleep. And then God took one of the ribs of Adam, so we'll just say this is a rib right here, and he made a whole nother human being out of the rib. So you had Adam, and see there's an A for Adam, and then he had Eve, there's an E for Eve. And so he created two separate human beings, and those human beings were similar in many ways, but they were also very opposite. So for instance, if you look at your hands, you have a left hand and you have a right hand, and they're both hands, but they're very different. So if I had two left hands, it would look like this, a left hand and a left hand over here. And if I had a right hand, two of them, it would be a right hand and a right hand. But no, God created us with a left hand and a right hand. So they're opposites, just like Adam and Eve were opposites in many ways. So when you put them together like this, you can see that they're both hands, but they're opposites of each other. And then God did something very special. He created marriage. And he said, now I want the two to come back and be one again and reflect my image and to love each other and to be good friends with each other. Wow, God really knows what he's doing, doesn't he? That's amazing. When God finished all his creating, this was the end of the sixth day. He looked at all of his creation that he had made, and he said, this is very good. And he was happy with everything that he had made. And so on the seventh day, it says that God rested from all of his creating. God is so amazing, and he shows us just how much he loves us in every day. Thank you for letting me read to you another Bible story. And remember that God loves you so much. And I'll see you next week.